Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about something that is really close to my heart, and that is content creation, not from the perspective of gathering leads, but as an insurance policy for your life and your business. I have seen this play out so many times in my own life, where I start out making content for leads, and that comes through in my content. It is very transparent when somebody is just trying to sell you something, or when somebody is just trying to give you the best information that they can possibly give you. And we sometimes come at content from this transactional standpoint of create a blog post, get email signups, create a video, get people over to your website. And yes, that is absolutely part of the equation. Without my content, I would not have the business that I have. But what if I told you that if you're only thinking about your content as a way to sell, then you're missing the entire point and structure and benefit of content itself? Today, what I want to do for you is I want to tell you some stories and reframe how you're thinking about your content. I want to motivate you to get up every single morning and create something without the pure selfish desire to sell. And I want to show you that content is so much more than just a sales engine. It is giving you the power to be able to pivot, to be able to make changes in your business, and really to stay resilient no matter what the market throws at you. And I'm telling you, we all know the market is a doozy right now. So let's start with the core idea that content is an absolute long-term asset. It's like putting money in the bank. If I look over at my Google Ads channel today, I have had over 40 hours of content consumption just on that channel. So other people have been consuming that content for over 40 hours. I can't imagine having to travel somewhere and give 40-hour speeches, but yet people all over the world have been consuming my content for 40 hours. Over here on this channel, which I just got started, I have another 12 hours of consumption. And the thing is, when I make content like this, it doesn't just disappear, it continues to run. In fact, I've developed this habit where I get up, I get my kid to school. The first thing I do before anything is I make content, because I know that when it goes out there, I can live the rest of my life. I know what's happening is my content is working for me, especially in this day and age. I've also gotten into the absolute terrible habit, I do not recommend this, of waking up and just opening up my Google Studio and looking and seeing, oh my gosh, I was sleeping. 10 people were watching a video. It is such a great, phenomenal feeling. I have also seen YouTube videos and blog posts still getting traction that I've written 2, 3, 4 years ago. I've also taken that content and then gone back and restructured it for 2025, and I'll do that in 2026. So it's like I've written it once and then I've used it again year after year in different capacities and different ways. And so I know it sounds like basically like a Starbucks latte to say that every single time you put out a piece of content, it's like planting a tree. And right away, it might not give you shade. And I don't mean the like throw shade cover. But what generally, I can't even talk today. Again, I can never talk. For someone who makes content, I stumble over my words a lot. So I guess what I'm saying is like it might not take root right away, but over time it builds and builds. And if it doesn't build, guess what? You have that piece of data to be able to pivot and make a decision and change your approach the next time. So long term, whether you do it successfully or unsuccessfully, it starts to give you that real-time feedback. And so then the other thing that I talked about is really this ability to pivot. And I think this is really important, especially for us like women. I'm a mom of 3. Is I cannot be stuck in a certain business model, because if I'm stuck in the certain business model, as my kids age, as the seasons change, I can't make changes to my life. I'm stuck in a current situation that really isn't working for me or anyone in my family. We've obviously all seen it in our industry. Markets shift. Google Ads has changed at such a rapid speed, especially as these companies are trying to get on board with this AI. And for you, as somebody who manages Google Ads, as everything's changing, maybe you're not feeling as attracted to Google Ads as you once used to. Maybe you don't have a lifestyle where managing accounts is even possible anymore because of the time that it takes. Maybe you want to move into a coaching framework or just do audits. Or maybe you want to pivot further, again, like what I'm doing, where I'm building out this side of my business that talks about content, because it's been such a major part alongside of my Google Ads specialty for my entire career. Or maybe you want to leave an agency like I did, and you need that network. This is where your content really plays that role of being that insurance policy. what happens is a certain part of your audience that followed you for one thing will move over to the next thing. For example, on this channel, I have people that started out for Google Ads tutorial. I have people in the Google Ads industry who just want to hear what I have to say because I'm being honest about what it takes to run this business. I have business owners that maybe were interested in my Google Ads content, but they're also creating content for their own business. So there's a certain chunk of people who follow you for your information, but then lean into following you for following you. You're not just stuck doing one thing. You're like the plumber that can also do drywall, or the plumber that can do a little bit of electricity work, or it's just a little bit extra to buffer those shifts in market. And if you don't want to work and have a full-time job, you want to be independent and have that phase in your life. A lot of people think I just went freelance, just went independent this past year. I actually, in between the time that I worked at Nationwide and the time that I started at Hannapin, I was also completely independent. I did it a little bit differently at the time. The framework was set up a little bit differently, but I consulted to agencies all over the Columbus area. And so this isn't the first time in my life that I haven't been working for an actual agency and that I haven't been consulting. I've been doing this for years. And again, the reason for all this is because I've put so much content. And so for you, instead of starting a new venture from scratch, you're coming with your archive of content. You're coming with your experience. You're coming with your knowledge. You're coming with the fact that you're comfortable on camera because you've been doing it in another capacity before, right? So I've been getting on my Google Ads channel and talking about what is a CTR, what is a click-through rate, why impression share matters or doesn't matter. And then when I come and talk about content, I already have that practice being on camera. I already know myself as a person that writes and makes videos. I know that I stumble over words. I know how to edit. I can get a video, I cannot believe that I'm saying this, but in and out to you within probably an hour and a half at this point. That is vastly faster than I used to have, but that's taken practice. And so you can transfer the skills that you're getting. You can transfer how you present on camera. You can transfer the fact that you've built your authentic voice, and you can bring in what people like about you. I always have my little things in my videos that I just accept at this point where I'm like, okay, I'm going to look at my script right now. I'm going to start with my script, and then I lose my script and just go on a rant. And I can watch from the view time. People don't mind the rants. In fact, I always see spikes during the rants. I think people enjoy when I get off script because it's a lot more real. But I know that. I know that because I've been creating on here. So now I'm going to give you some real world examples because I can't just tell you. I need you to see the truth in this. So I'm going to use myself as a personal example. So I have mentioned I worked at Nationwide, and then in between Nationwide and working at Hannapin, writing on PPC Hero, I ended up being independent for a little while. I blogged back then, but really when my content started to take off was obviously when I was at Hannapin, especially because that is why I went to Hannapin, to write on that PPC Hero blog. Because at that time I saw the value in content. And this was before a lot of people were even making content. And that network has carried with me today. In fact, a lot of the people that I'm closest to, we all worked there or we blogged there, and it just became that core part. But then also I went on LinkedIn very early before I even had kids, before I even got into paid search, because I had a professor that absolutely adored LinkedIn and taught us how to get on that platform. And he was the type that just accepted connections from everyone. So I'd been there from the very beginning, seeing the benefits of it. And so I am a real world example of how it has worked. But the benefit is it's worked for me in multiple capacities. So for me, I talk about all this paid search content, the marketing content for LinkedIn, but I actually did this in a Facebook group. So I don't know, I feel like people gasp when they hear this, but in between my second daughter and I have two daughters. I have three kids. Sorry. I was trying to think of the time frame. It gets lost at a certain point when you have this many kids. Three, but whatever. Mom brain here. Okay. So after I had my third daughter, I actually ran a LuLaRoe business. And I cannot believe I'm talking about this on my content channel where I talk about Google Ads, but I was one of those people who got in and bought these leggings and shirts and sold them to moms online. And I sold them online in Facebook groups, in Periscope, and through the community. And then I would go live in my Facebook group and then run sales. And then I would go to Periscope and then run sales and get people over to my Facebook group. What I did is every single morning I would get on my Facebook group and I would create an outfit of a day. And I had zero shame in this content. My outfit of the day, I at the time was an XX small, and I would try on every single thing in my inventory all the way up to 3XL, putting on a belt, putting on jeans with it, making a dress. If it was a shirt, I did absolutely everything. I showed how to layer things with different articles. People came to my group because of the content I was creating. And that's why I was really successful in a business where typically people were not successful. I ended up getting a small downline. I ended up taking my family on vacation. I ended up building a patio. So I have had content work for me, not only in my own business, but I've had it work for me in switching careers without ever having to apply for a job. I have had it work for me with a retail business that typically wasn't successful for others. And I have it working for me today. And so I am the perfect case study of how I've been able to pivot, give myself the insurance policy of never having to look for a job ever, as well as being successful and making money for myself and having the flexibility that I want. So I really think that is important to look at when you consider whether or not you're going to get off the camera and just start talking to it. And my mom just texted me, which is hilarious because she is another success story. My mom is in her 80s and runs a clothing alteration business. And she kept asking me how to get business. And I said, post your before and afters. You are the perfect example. Somebody comes to you for an alteration, you fix it, you make them look better. Obviously ask for permission. And she started doing that. And now every single day on the community Facebook, somebody's looking for alterations and everyone tags my mom. And then when you friend my mom on Facebook, you see all her before and afters. And then my mom will say, hey, I'm interested in doing like more men's clothes. So she'll post a picture of doing alterations for my son. Or she'll want to do more prom dresses. She'll post pictures of the prom dresses. So she's really figured out this cadence. And if she posts, she gets business. And almost every time she posts, she gets business. And then people recommend her. And she has become the go-to person in our community. And if I told you the income that she is making, your jaw would fall. And there's my mom in her 80s, living the life of her dreams, although she's probably working way too hard, way harder than I would want to work. But it is amazing. So there, 4 case study. So this all begs the question, how do you start doing this for yourself? And this is where I'm going to get into sort of the boring stuff, the actionable advice that I have. But again, the beauty of content is you can do it your way. So don't feel like you have to be set in stone. I think if anyone is the example of messy and disorganized and all the things that maybe aren't ideal. And if you look through this channel, I've been so tempted to go through and either delete all the things that I've made that I don't feel like align with me anymore, and or turn back on the things that are private so like people can really see if they are curious enough to scroll. But I've made videos about, gosh, like I did a couple Google Ads tutorials that I feel disconnected from now. I do those on my other channel. I made a video talking about how I was trying to get business and did cold emails. That one is actually really interesting. But again, it doesn't really fit my current structure. So I would say, along with that, focus on evergreen trends. And these are the things that stick around for forever. Things like how to be more confident on camera, how to show up, how to script out your videos. These are things that stand the test of time. If you watch them in 2022 or you watch them in 2026, they're all going to be completely current. I would also say don't be afraid to document your journey. I think one of the most popular videos on my channel was my 1-month update. And I'm sure I got a lot of nosy people. I got a lot of people that were like, ooh, I want to see how this works. Don't be afraid to document. Sometimes I will go back and watch them for memory to realize where I am. I watched one of my videos the other day that I created, and just to see how far I have come, just in not only appearing on camera, but how I speak and all of that. And I remember I was saying, oh, I have almost 100 subscribers. And I'm like, oh, I'm like 130 now. And after abandoning the channel for a while and focusing on other things, such as actually doing client work. My whole point in saying this is don't be afraid to document the journey. I think I always have a line of you're always ahead of someone else. So definitely take that time because people are interested and nosy and want to see what it's like in the trenches. I would also say build an email list from day one. I have an email list of about 30. I don't actively promote it. It's just on my website. I do link my website in a lot of the descriptions. That being said, this isn't my primary money. My money is made doing Google Ads at this time. Make sure you build an email list, and that protects you from the algorithm. If something happens to your channel, you can always email and reach out and be like, hey, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Monetize it. It's another buffer for social media in general. And then also listen and engage with your audience. I often talk about how I had a mini coaching call, or just reach out to the people that are in your comments that watch your videos religiously. Hi, Jill. How are you? But take the time to engage with your audience. And I'm not just talking like your audience of peers, like your actual audience that wants to be where you are. Absolutely try to make the time to talk to people, because I think that's important. And then it also gives you someone to think about when you're making content. Oftentimes the best content I make is what I'm going to call a hybrid one-on-one, where someone asks me a question. I've said, oh, actually I can make a video about that. And I'm secretly making the video to that person, but the audience doesn't know that. And then it really sits because I'm giving my best advice, like I was talking to that person. And YouTube, when you think about it, it is a one-to-one relationship. While many people are watching your video, you are talking about one person who's watching. Unless they're on TV watching your content, which, gosh, if I made it to the point where my content was so good that people are sitting around with their families watching it. And so essentially, by focusing on these 4 steps, you're going to start to see success a lot sooner. And again, that's evergreen, documenting your journey, building your email list, and then listening and engaging with your audience. Not just making what you want to make, although that's really fun too. So to wrap this video up, yes, at the end of the day, you need leads, you need business so you can keep going and doing what you're doing. This isn't just a hobby. But please don't stop there. See your content for what it is. It is a long-term asset that protects you, your business, and your future. It is an absolute trust-building machine, and it gives you the confidence and capability to pivot your business, and the ability to really transform and change your career without having to start completely all over again. And ultimately, in this AI world where everything is changing, content is your ticket. It allows you to not only survive, but thrive in the environment of where we're going. So my call to action to you today is not only message me if you're interested in joining the cohort, but go look at all your content that you've created, even if it's 3 pieces and you're brand new to this. Just look at it. Can you identify something in it that stands the test of time? Or maybe if you're just starting, what is the first piece of foundational content you can make today? And I encourage you to start building that asset library today. Even if you don't publish it, maybe just make Google Docs. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. If you found this episode helpful, by all means, make a comment, visit me on LinkedIn, find me on the internet. I would love to talk to you. Happy content creation and happy Thanksgiving.